Okay, my Blood Angels army is coming along nicely, but something is missing. What do I need next?
We need bigger guns. Big fucking guns! Sorry. Big guns, right? That's where we're going to get big guns. Stop! We need some big fucking guns!
Of course, some serious firepower, and that means Eradicators with Melta weapons. A quick search and I found some awesome prime gravity heavy support models. The burly Mark 10 Gravis armor looks great, so these will be my guys. Now originally there was just the model, and then another for the melters, and then another that let me dodge having to freestyle paint that fire support V, and gave me a raised emblem which will be far easier to paint. Now that I've gotten around to making this video, the files have all been taken down. But as I look around to see if they've been uploaded elsewhere, I came across I Am Alfarius, and it seems everything has since been bundled together: the V-decorated pauldrons, the melter rifle, the helmets, the multi-melters, all in one zip file. Nifty! Anywho, into Lychee go the STLs, and once everything is in, I rotated everything a little bit to ensure the likelihood of a successful print run. The front of the Eradicators is where all the detail is, the decorations, the emblems, so I tilted them backwards so any dots from the supports will be located there, and so it will be easier to cut away and smooth out the imperfections. Same with the pauldrons and the melter weapons. Once everything is arranged, I hit generate light supports and let Lychee analyze and add everything I need. Once the supports are on, time to export, which I love watching speeded up. Anyways, off to the frozen mighty 8K, and on go the gloves and the filter mask. Put down some paper towels and then pop the models off the build plate. Then into the pickle strainer filled with alcohol they go, and pump them up and down to shed all that excess Urukai style goop. Once they are all cleaned up, onto a fresh towel, and then I drop them into a tub of warm water to loosen up all the supports. After a little soak, the supports just pop free easily, and there were no nubs or dots to bother with. Once they are dry, I started gluing them together. The fire support pauldron on the right, the pauldron with the wings and the droplet emblem on the left. They get melter rifles, and two of them get multi-melters, and because they will often be targeting vehicles and monsters, I glued the heads looking up a little as though they are assessing their towering adversaries. I dropped a box on my patio, put them in, and blasted them with some Mephiston Red Citadel base. I let them dry, turned them around, and gave them another spray. Now, as I discovered with other models, gluing them to the bases now is a bad idea. They fall off really easily because the base paint is what is glued to the base, not the model itself. So a sheet of sandpaper and drag the Eradicators along it. To take the paint off of the soles of their feet, this gives me the connectivity I'm after. A dab of super glue, and onto the 40mm bases they go. And I worked my way through the whole 6-man squad. On to painting. A layer of Mephiston Red over the base coat, and then breaking out some Abaddon Black to cover the melters. Before I continue with the monster guns, a universal wash of Caraberg Crimson that settles into all the grooves and the joints to get a nice shade. Now, for the opposite, a little dry brush of Astrowrath Red across the armour to bring up the edges and the raised lines. Dab the brush in the pot, wipe on the back of my hand to shed paint until only a little remains, which is then perfect for what I'm after, accenting the pipes and all that chunky armour. White scar on the wings to give me a solid base, onto which goes a wash of Seraphim Sepia Shade that gets a nice bone looking effect. And then a dry brush of Iron Hand Steel base on the melter weapons. Finishing off, a squirt of Elmer's glue onto the base, and then wiping around with an old brush, and before it dries, sprinkle on some sand from Red Rocks, Nevada to simulate the irradiated deserts of Baal. And from stomping across this brutal landscape, some Cadian flesh tone, dry brushed around the feet and up the legs to give me the effect of kicked up dust clinging to their armour. And finally, a blast of varnish to lock everything in. So here we are, a 6-man squad of Blood Angels Eradicators. These Astartes are clad in Mark 10 Gravis armour, developed on Mars. This advanced and dense variant of power armour offers the Space Marines inside enhanced protection as they stride into battle and level their melter weapons against the enemies of the Imperium. These short-range thermal energy weapons exploit subatomic reactions and a pyrum-petrol fuel source to emit a tight beam of impossible searing heat that can bore through even the toughest armour and the most stalwart fortifications. A searing hiss echoes as the beam vaporizes the moisture in the very air before the strike slams into the target with a cataclysmic explosion, causing the impacted target to erupt into molten droplets of scorched slag. For the Emperor and Sanguinius.